Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. Today we're going to see what messages your guides, angels, and ancestors have for you, what they need you to know right now. And today we have a selection of cakes for you to choose from. By the way, I posted this reading early and ad-free over on my Patreon. All my readings get posted first over there. And as soon as you sign up, you'll get access to about 70 additional readings. There are readings about love, relationships, career, money, spirituality, shadow work, future life, past lives, where you should live. There's every topic under the sun over on Patreon, and new readings get posted all the time. You suggest readings, we also vote on them, so it's very interactive. If all of that sounds good to you and you want to get access to my additional library of readings, then head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description to sign up for Patreon. So with that being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. And basically I do pick a card readings, but often with food items instead of cards. So you're going to see which of these cakes is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in towards it. And then as soon as you've made up your mind, just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments in the description and jump into your pile. I always recommend that people should choose their pile based on the energy that's calling them. So not necessarily the cake they think looks the most delicious or what they would order in a restaurant, but more so the energy that just seems to be drawing them over, the same way you would pick for any other type of pick a card reading. I also want to mention that I do private readings. So if you have a burning question or something you want some specific clarity on, then you can go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can sign up for a mediumship reading, a tarot pull session, an astrology reading, or a combination of all three. And you can ask me whatever question you want within reason, of course, and get clarity on whatever situation has been on your brain. So if you're interested in that, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link is in my description for that as well. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Now, if you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey pile one, welcome to your reading. So for your cards, you guys got wide open, coming to life, wishing well, and bone collector. So what I am feeling right away is that you guys are really going through a transformation and you're on the precipice of something really huge. For some of you guys, this is like a dream coming true. We got wishing well. So this may be something you wished for or you tried to manifest. And I'm hearing for some of you, you may have put it on your vision board or you may have asked for it, but you really didn't think it was possible. There was a part of you that was like, there's just no way, like this isn't gonna happen, or I'm not that person. So yeah, that life sounds awesome, but it's just not me. And I feel like you're kind of surprising yourself, realizing that maybe your self-image is not as accurate as it should be, you know? Like spirit is bringing this to my mind, and this may be a random example, but it may apply to some of you guys. You might relate to it. But I have a friend and she's never really been in like a serious relationship. You know, she just never really hit it off with anyone, and she's never had that serious relationship in her life. And the funny thing about it is, like, of all my friends, I feel like she's one of the most functional, and she'd be freaking amazing in a relationship. Like when I go through my list of friends and I think about who would be great as a partner, she'd be at the very top of the list, and she'd be great as a mother as well. But of course, you know, that's not the same thing as a relationship. But it's so funny because then I have friends who are like in relationships or have kids, and I'm like, oof, like you're a little bit of a mess with that, or you're always fighting with your partner, or you kind of are really harsh on your child. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny because sometimes someone doesn't see that in themselves, or maybe they missed a certain timeline and then they get it inside their head of like, well, you know, I'm 21 and I've never had a boyfriend, so I'll never have a boyfriend, and that's just who I am. And it doesn't even just have to be with romantic relationships. It can be with career. Like I've never really had a really good job. I've always worked at low-level jobs, or I maybe have gotten money from my parents and I haven't even been super successful at jobs. So I'll always be that way, and I'm just kind of not a smart person, or I'm not ambitious, or I'm just not good with money, or whatever the case may be. And we kind of become settled on like these identities for ourselves that may not even be accurate. Because again, I haven't talked to this friend about it because I think they kind of wouldn't want me to bring it up. So of course I'm going to respect that. But it's funny because I think of them as someone who would be fantastic in relationships and would probably be that person that like marries their first boyfriend because they're that good and they're really great at like talking problems through. They're super emotionally supportive. And it's funny because that person is the one who hasn't had that happen to them yet. And it's so weird how maybe something hasn't happened for you yet. That doesn't mean you're not good at it. But we kind of become settled on that. We kind of have this idea that like, oh, well, if it hasn't happened for you at a certain time, it's never going to happen. Or I think a lot of it is almost like if you miss one milestone, then you have it set in your head of like, so I'm bad at that, or I'm not good enough for it. Or there's almost like this little unpleasant energy of shame that pops up of like, I'm so embarrassed that this happened. And then that holds you back. So maybe she would have been interested in online dating, but because she hasn't had a super long-term relationship, she doesn't do that stuff, you know? And I think it's funny because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when, again, I just think I just know she'd be so good, and I could totally see her being one of those people that like marries their first boyfriend or is just so fantastic in a relationship that would literally have people lined up around the block to date her. And I bet we could think of other people like that in our lives, that maybe they haven't had something happen to them, but we're like, no, but you're so good at that. Or the unemployed person who lives in their parents' basement, but they're like this incredible inventor and they're super smart and they spend all their time like playing video games, but their mind is going a million miles an hour and they're super intelligent. You know what I mean? And it's funny because we have all these kind of, when you think about it, arbitrary ideas of success. We have these arbitrary ideas of like, oh, well, if you've dated a bunch of people and you're 25, then you're a success. Or if you're married at 22, you're a success. Or if you're married, in some places it's the opposite. Oh, what a weirdo, you got married at 22. You should wait until you're 30, you know? But the thing is ultimately it's all up to you. And we all have different timelines. We all have different life plans. And sometimes a timeline may be a little bit later. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen for you. So I just wanted to channel that message for you guys because I really do feel like for some of you guys, this is something you marked yourself out as. Like you're like, oh, I'm never going to have a boyfriend, or I'm never going to be financially successful and have extra money to pay my bills, or I'm never going to travel, even though I would love to see Japan and I've always been obsessed with Japan, but that's never going to happen for me. And then something magically comes into play in your life and it becomes an option. And I think that's what can be so cool about ticking off certain life goals. Like if you have been obsessed with Japan, even though it may sound small of like, well, it's just a vacation, you're just visiting Japan, like, you know, lots of people visit every year. It's like, yeah, but if that is a big deal to you, then there's something very energetically powerful about buying that ticket, heading to the airport, flying over, stepping out, you know, going to like Shibuya. All those things are going to really make a difference in your psychology and make you realize that like you can do amazing things, you know, and some of those goals we hold for ourselves, those things that we dream as like a far off, oh, maybe one day, but it's probably never going to happen, are actually maybe more within our grasp than we realize. So I know obviously not everyone can afford to fly to Japan, but if there's something else you could think of that like is a small thing that maybe you've always wanted to do, like maybe you always wanted to learn surfing and you happen to live near a beach and there are surfing lessons, but you've always been too chicken to go and you're kind of afraid of wiping out and it's embarrassing because all the surfer boys are around and they're all so cute and they're also good at surfing. Maybe just sign up for a lesson and you may be surprised. You may be like, you know what, I'm actually really good at this, or I'm really horrible at it, but at least I did it. You know, I almost feel like the more we can do that to ourselves, the more we can force ourselves to step out of our comfort zone and just like try, just give it a shot. We'll be surprised by like, you know, I'm actually not that bad. I'm actually really good at this, or just I'm more capable than I thought. I don't even have to be really good at it. I don't have to be like a savant that just masters it on the first try. Maybe it didn't come as easily to me, but I can try, you know, I can do it. So for a lot of you guys, I do feel like there's a message for you of ticking off something that it's almost like it's been a long time coming, and there's an energy in you that was like, yeah, I don't think I can do this, or that's just not who I am, or I'm really bad at this. And it's also bringing to my mind with spirit, you know, this thing that when I had traveled with one of my best friends, she's an accountant and I'm obviously not. And so when we traveled together, we were like always having to, you know, pay the bill and compute the tip, and we'd usually just split it, and then we'd both, you know, have our separate check and put down the tip. So we both get the check at the same time, and then we kind of be in our heads like trying to compute the math. And I always thought she was going to be so much better at it than me, and I would even joke about that, like, girl, that's going to be up to you. You can compute the tip because you know me, I'm horrible at math and you're literally an accountant. And then I found a few times, like after the waiter would put the check down, like I'd be staring at the tip and I'd be like, I think it's this amount. And I'd be looking over at her, waiting for her to say it, but she'd still be looking at the tip, computing. And it was almost like, should I say something? Because I think it's this, but then I'd be like, I'm probably wrong. I'm so bad at math. And I had this mentality, I'm so bad at math. I'm so bad at math. And so finally, you know, I started noticing when she would say the tip, that was the number I did have in my head. And it really started changing. So then I started getting more confident and being like, maybe I'm not so bad at math. And then I'd start saying the tip as soon as I calculated it, and I would be right. And what I realized is, you know, I'm probably not the next Einstein. I'm probably not actually like a savant at math. But it's funny that I had this idea in my mind, two people, two separate career paths. For whatever reason, I honestly think a big part of it is she never integrated an idea into her head of I'm not good at math. Maybe for me it was because I never learned my multiplication tables in 3rd grade. I missed that boat and I just like decided to learn cursive that summer instead of studying multiplication. And maybe that got in my head. Who knows? But it's funny how we become obsessed with a certain idea of ourselves, right? We tell ourselves like, I'm not good at this, or I can't do that, or I'm always getting rejected, or no one really likes me, or I'm not attractive. And someone who might be on the exact same level as you, or even maybe not as good as you, because again, I was kind of faster than her at computing things. And it was just something I noticed because I'm like, this is crazy. I always thought of her as so good at math and myself as so bad at it. And it's funny because technically I was computing it faster, and yet she had so much confidence in her own math ability, she literally went into it as a career, right? So it's kind of like telling you that so much of how we react to things, so much of the language we tell ourselves actually defines what we're going to do in the future. The more we can tell ourselves, I am good at this. No, I'm great at this. Or maybe I'm not the fastest like mental calculator in the whole world, but I'm good enough at it and I still have a chance at this. And I kind of wondered like, I wonder what would have been different for me in school if I, instead of constantly telling myself, oh my God, I'm so bad at math, I would have been like, no, I am good at math, you know? And maybe certain things don't come as easily to me in math as they do in like English or history, but I'm not bad at it. And I have the mentality. And if I'd been able to kind of work harder at it and be less pessimistic and just accept that like, and maybe this takes a little more work for me, but that's okay. Maybe things could have been different. Now, I think everything is working out for our greatest and highest good, so I'm not regretful about my time in school or anything, but I just think that that really says it all about how much we can have our whole future influenced by these little mindset things that happen to us. So for you guys, I really feel like you're starting to reshape your self-identity. And honestly, I'm hearing you're being a lot more honest with yourselves. Like in the past, you may have believed some lies. You may have allowed some lies to really run amok and run out of control. And you may have told yourself things like, yeah, I'm not very pretty, I'm ugly, and you're not, you know, or you may have told yourself that you're not smart, or you're not a hard worker, or you're not whatever. And now you're realizing I am smart, I am a hard worker. And also the thoughts we have about ourselves literally become things. As I started being like, whoa, I think I computed that first, and maybe I'm good at math. That's really interesting. My calculation times got faster and faster, and I started really enjoying being the one who would like calculate it first and be like, oh, I think it's this, and then waiting for her to be like, yeah, I guess it is. And I started living for that. And then I started having more confidence in it and enjoying it. And it's so funny how that changes our whole mentality. The ideas we tell ourselves about ourselves literally become prophecies that come true. So if we can realize what limiting beliefs we're having that's holding us back, I just saw the image in my mind of a picture frame, and kind of like how, I don't know, with art, it's contained within that picture frame. It's almost like we have this self-image of ourselves and we limit ourselves inside this tiny little box, inside this tiny little frame. And we can't imagine stepping outside of that. We can't imagine like pushing our own boundaries, and it kind of makes us uncomfortable, and it makes us maybe ashamed. Sometimes all it takes is one traumatic incident, one time when we got rejected at something, one time when we felt like we kind of got embarrassed or someone humiliated us or we were made a fool of, to make us be like, I'm never doing that again. When the reality is that success comes when you're willing to push yourself through that humiliation, when you're willing to fail a bunch of times. I mean, anyone who's like on YouTube, and this is why I actually think like YouTube has been really helpful with that, because of course, when I first started, like, you want every video to be a huge success. You really hope people like you. You really hope people like the stuff. And then inevitably, just as your videos reach more people, you get people who leave nasty comments. You get people who don't like you. You get videos that just do super bad. No one likes them. Like, no one watches them, you know? And it's kind of something that actually becomes really freeing. You start to realize that, like, just because someone doesn't like one video, or just because someone comes along and hates you and really dislikes you, doesn't really mean anything as long as you keep going. What matters is your persistence, and what matters is pushing through it. One of my favorite quotes is, even the mightiest oak falls with 1,000 strokes of the axe. So I think so much of the time, sometimes when we give up, and this is what I wish I could say to my younger self when it comes to math, it's because we're like, I'm not good at this. But it's like, yeah, you're not good at it. Now you're not good at it because you haven't taken the effort to learn. And a lot of me internalizing this idea that I was bad at math was, I think, that summer when I didn't learn my multiplication tables because I hated math. So instead I practiced cursive the whole summer, even though that wasn't on the actual like learning schedule, just because I liked English. But it's like, if I had just been willing to sit in discomfort and learn math, even though I found it really boring, then I would have been miles ahead, right? And I probably would never have started this mindset of like, oh, of course I was going to struggle with math when I didn't memorize what like 9 times 8 is and 7 times 6 is, and everyone else in my class had. So a lot of it is just being willing to sit through that discomfort and being like, yeah, I'm bad at it right now. And accepting that you are going to fail sometimes. You are going to get knocked down. Just like on YouTube, if you want to do YouTube, you're going to have to accept that you're going to put videos out that people aren't going to like, that people are going to think are stupid, people are going to probably think are cringe in some way. And by the same token, you're also probably going to have videos that people really like, people really vibe with, and people enjoy. But it's going to be a part of the process, failing a little bit, feeling that embarrassment, feeling that sense of dislike from others that we hate so much, and just pushing through it. So for you guys, I really feel like what you're learning is that your own power is within you, and you can choose whatever you want. You can really choose to alter your identity, to step into a new version of yourself. You don't have to be limited to some version of yourself that you crafted at some other time in your life. Maybe at another time in your life, the narratives you told yourself were really helpful. Maybe you would tell yourself, you know, I'm not a dater, because you were in college and you were intimidated by the dating scene. And now that you're out of college, you're like, yeah, but I'm kind of lonely and I'd like to date, but I'm not a dater. And maybe that served you at one point in your life in some way, but it's also okay to discard it and move through into something else. And if you're like, yeah, I'd really like a relationship, I kind of miss that. I kind of miss having like my person, and or maybe I've never experienced it, and I really want to, I want to check off that life event, then giving yourself that permission, that stop telling yourself, I'm bad at dating, or I'm a weirdo because I haven't been on a date. You're not. And plenty of people, I think, would tell you that like, it's not even that big of a deal. It's not that much of an ordeal. It's almost like the more you put something up on a pedestal in your mind, the more you put it off or procrastinate, it becomes this huge thing. And if we can just start taking steps to it, and also reframing our mindset, instead of thinking of it as some insurmountable mountain, being like, this is going to be easy. This is going to be fine. I'm going to be super good at this. it's going to be perfect, and however it's meant to work out will be how it's meant to work out. And maybe I will suck at it at first, and that's okay too. It's okay if I go on my first date and I feel really awkward and nervous, as long as I push myself to go on more dates, as long as I continue pushing. That's what really matters. And so I feel like a lot of you guys, you're on the precipice of really reforming your identity. For some of you guys, you are not even at the level of having to totally reframe things where you're like at step one. You might be very close to some of these manifestations actually coming true. Like I said, when I think of that friend of mine who hasn't dated, I truly feel like she's gonna be that person that like meets her person, and when she does, like they get engaged within a year and they're married and then they have a bunch of kids. Like I really feel that, because it's just, I feel like she's so good at interpersonal relationships and conflict that she'll be fantastic in the context of a romantic relationship as well. So yeah, it's almost like just because you haven't done something in the past doesn't mean you can't do it in the future. And I feel like a lot of you guys are about to do something that really surprises yourself, and you are going to step into a new identity that you don't even recognize. Let's get into your tarot. So we got the Seven of Wands, Ace of Pentacles reversed, the Emperor, and the Star. I love that we got the Emperor and the Star together. Really powerful cards of success. And again, for some of you guys, this could be an exalted position. This could be all eyes on you. And there also is the message that as you step into this higher identity, that you might attract some jealousy, you might attract conflict. And again, I think this is sometimes where people like chicken out. Like it's not even at the beginning of the journey that people chicken out, but maybe it's like you face a lot of obstacles along the way and then you tell yourself, oh, it's not right for me. I can't do this. It's not working out. And the reality is that if you had just kept going, you know, I'm seeing the image of someone like, this is so weird, but someone like trying to build a tunnel or something, and they're mining and they're trying to like chisel out of the rock, and they're so close to like completing the tunnel and opening through to the other side, and they're maybe like one chip away and they just give up. And I can just see that like tiny little like tiny sliver of stone separating them from when the sunlight would have burst through, and instead they're like, oh, this tunnel's never gonna get fixed. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna go back. This was a bad idea. And I feel like so much of the time when we're super close is when we get that last hit of resistance. That's when we feel like something just, everything is going wrong. I do think also like light workers often get faced with distractions. Light workers often get faced with things that are meant to take their mind off what their purpose is and meant to kind of waste their time and distract them and get them focused on something else that's not worthy of their time. So for a lot of you guys, I feel like you need to keep your mind right, keep your mind on the prize, and know that, again, all the things you want, all the things you have been working for, they are so possible. So if you have been working towards a certain goal or wanting a certain outcome, you just need to know that this is not a million miles away from you. This is not something that's impossible to happen or really far off or a dream that can't come true. This is something that could absolutely happen for you and is a very real possibility in your reality. Like I feel like this is very much close to your energy field. This, for some of you guys, this is like about to happen. It's almost an inevitability. And so if you just could continue on this path, I also want to congratulate, I just got the message for some of you guys that you have been making these changes. Maybe some of y'all, like I'm giving you the pep talk about like, don't be afraid to go on dates or something. And you're like, no, I literally just went on my first date for 5 years and I just went on my first date last week, and I already did that part. And it's like, if that's your situation, I am so proud of you. Spirit is so proud of you. Your guides, angels, ancestors are so proud of you for doing that. And I feel like whatever you're working on, you are going to have a lot of success. And I think some of you guys are stepping into a beautiful new identity, being more social, being more outgoing, becoming more of your truest and deepest self. This person that maybe used to hide away from the world, or, and I'm hearing that Cyndi Lauper song, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, where she's like, some guys take a beautiful girl and hide her away from the rest of the world. But something about like you're meant to walk in the sun because girls want to have fun. And yeah, I think all of us as humans, we're meant to walk in the sun, metaphorically speaking. That's why our sun sign is so important. We're meant to be in that beautiful energy of happiness and joy and living life. And there's no one put on this planet that's just consigned to a life of misery, and they're just supposed to like stay in the corner and stay in the shadows and not live a good life. That's not what our spirit guides want for any of us. So it's like stepping into that energy of realizing that we do deserve happiness, we do deserve joy, we do deserve all the good things in life. Like, it does remind me of that friend of mine, and the way I think she just kind of thinks that like, oh yeah, she's not a relationship person, and she's, you know, she's very smart, and that kind of like other girls are, you know, more equipped for that, and she's not really good with guys, um and stuff like that. And it's like, it's so not even true, because I honestly know from her energy, and I am a great matchmaker. What they don't tell you is actually matchmakers are, you have to be psychic to be a good matchmaker, because you're reading energy. So if you're not a little bit psychic, you really can't be a good matchmaker. And the good matchmakers will tell you that straight up. Like, they just do energy readings of people, and that's how they match people. So I have matched a few of my friends and done a really good job. There are marriages, engagements in my matchmaking history, and I just know she has the kind of energy that would do so well. Like, men would love her. Like, I mean, obsessed with her. You know, like, she is like girlfriend material, wife material type of girl. Truly, I 100% mean that, and I'm not saying that just to be nice about her. And that's why I think maybe it popped up in this reading, because it's something I don't really think about it as much anymore, but I used to just be like, it's just so crazy to me, because of all my friends and of all the girls I know, and the ones that are not popular with men and the ones that are, like, she is the kind of girl that is so popular with men. But the thing is, she just doesn't really like to put herself out there. I think it's that fear of rejection. So I think that's why. But my point in saying all this is, sometimes it's like, people have these ideas of themselves. Like, I think she's told herself that, yeah, she doesn't want to get rejected, or she's super smart, and it's not even accurate. She's the kind of person that if she really stepped into her power, would probably have men, multiple, eating out of the palm of her hand. But she hasn't wanted to step into that identity. She hasn't wanted to take that risk. And so much of the time, I think we keep ourselves smaller, or we keep ourselves in this little like hole where we feel comfortable in, you know. We kind of keep ourselves in like it's like we wear the same outfits, you know, we just wear the same comfortable clothes day in, day out. We don't show off our shape. We kind of hide our bodies. We kind of go to work and then we go home, and we don't really put ourselves out there. And I think that's really easy to do in today's society. But the beauty comes in when we kind of start opening up to the light, when we start showing ourselves off a little bit more, when we start allowing ourselves to get swept away in the currents of life, when we allow ourselves to, yeah, flirt with the random guy at a coffee shop, instead of just being like, oh no, sorry, I'm here to work, or avoiding eye contact. Maybe we make eye contact and we smile and we feel energetically open to that, you know? And yeah, there's more of a potential for getting hurt, but that's the whole point of life, is to like experience things anyway, right? So if we get hurt, maybe we'll have a great story to tell, and maybe we won't get hurt. Maybe we'll just have a really fun time. And the more we can also practice non-attachment and not get like upset and depressed because the guy at the coffee shop never called us, it's like, who cares? We still had a great conversation. We still had a great afternoon. We still enjoyed ourselves, and maybe that boosted our confidence. Maybe we realized after flirting with the guy at the coffee shop, again, even if he never calls, that we were looking good. And next time we go into the coffee shop, we kind of got a pep in our step, because we're like, ooh, the last time I was here, this cute guy came up to me and he talked to me. He asked me out. Yeah, he never called, but still, like, I got asked out last time, so I must be looking pretty dang good. And so if we can start reframing our mentality from like focusing on the negative, focusing on everything that can go wrong, into focusing on everything that can go right, and expecting that, that's when the magic really happens for us. So I feel like that is something that is happening in your life, Pile One. A lot of you guys are reframing this image of yourself. You are no longer looking at things through this old paradigm that I feel like a lot of you guys used to have. So let me get some astrological dice for this reading. What kind of astrology do we have for pile one? Oh my God, I love it. You guys got the nodes, and we got Leo, of course, perfect for this star energy. Actually, Aquarius does rule the star card, and so we got Aquarius, Leo, but it always makes me think of Leo energy as well. And then we also got the nodes. So this is a destiny moment for you guys. This is a really, really beautiful thing. This is a time when a lot of you guys are going to be reframing, like I said, your vision, your destiny, your future. There's a whole new potential for you to rewrite what's going to be happening to you in your whole life story. This is a very pivotal moment for you guys. And what's coming through with Aquarius, and I love that Aquarius does rule the star card, because you know, don't be afraid as well to step outside people's paradigm of you. That's what Aquarius is so amazing at. They are fearlessly brave with, like, you know how everyone else will be like, oh my God, but what if everyone thinks that I'm weird? Or an Aquarian is like, awesome, I'm so glad people think I'm weird. They don't mind being the villain. They don't mind if people don't like them. And you know, what's interesting about that is Aquarius has a very remote energy. It's ruled by Uranus, which is a planet that's very far away. And so that's why I think Aquarius can sometimes seem very emotionally distant, and why they're so good at being able to be like, yeah, everyone in this group hates me. Anyway, I'm going to speak up for this cause that I totally agree with. It's because they genuinely, at the end of the day, kind of don't care. And sometimes we need to integrate that to ourselves and to our mindset. Like, I think, you know, Abraham Hicks has a wonderful meditation for that as well, or just like a lesson she lives where she teaches, where she said she just keeps saying don't care to everything. So she tells this story of like this woman coming in, and she's sick of her husband doing something, so he starts to argue with her, and she just says, I don't care. And then he's like, well, you need to care because we've been fighting and blah blah blah. And she's like, I don't care. And then he says, well, I'm getting a divorce. And she just keeps saying, I don't care. You could probably Google Abraham Hicks, I don't care, because it's like such a brilliant talk of hers. And I really think that is so important, is like not letting ourselves get bogged down by the negativity, by the small stuff, not taking our eyes off the prize, and focusing on things that really don't matter, but continuing to focus on the big picture. And also not really caring what someone is going to say about us, because yeah, when you step into a new identity, a new version of yourself, a new future, trust and believe there are going to be people who are used to this old version of you who are not going to like it. They liked it better when you were small, when you were a smaller version of yourself, and you weren't threatening, and you weren't really, you know, the center of attention. And now that you step into a higher version of yourselves, some people are going to take that almost like a personal attack. Like, oh my God, who do they think they are? And well, if they think they're so good at this, what does that say about me? If they have this wonderful boyfriend that does all this stuff for them, or if they have this fantastic job where they get paid a lot of money, then that reflects badly on me and my really bad job, or with my horrible boyfriend that literally never even remembers my birthday. You know, it's going to feel a bit like an attack to them, and they're probably not going to like it. And that's why we need to have some emotional distance from outcomes as we're stepping into an energy. We need to stop fixating on making sure everyone enjoys us, making sure everyone gets us, and just focus on the destination we're headed. But with Leo coming out, again, I feel like you need to know that this is your time to shine. And that's what Leo is so good at, is being unafraid of being the center of attention. And Leo's really loving that, you know. That's why I always tell that joke about how this, you know, everyone says, well, the world doesn't rotate around you, but it does rotate around Leos and people who are sun dominant, because, you know, that means that, yes, the world is literally rotating around the sun. And at the same time, I feel like a lot of Leos, like, they wear that mantle so strongly. Like, they are totally fine with attention. Someone else may shy away from it. And truly, when you are stepping into your highest vibration, when you are stepping into your highest possible lifetime, that's probably going to get you some attention. That's going to be a lifetime where you do get noticed. A lot of us want that deep down, but are too afraid to admit it. So for you guys, this may be about finishing up some shadow work, or that you have been doing shadow work, or maybe you're beginning your shadow work. But I feel like you are really unspooling whatever kind of negative mindset you got into, and you are stepping into this beautiful, high vibrational identity, this highest version of yourself where you were unafraid to rewrite the script, hit everyone with a plot twist, and become your best version of yourself. A lot of you guys are stepping into this. It's ready to happen. It's ready to step in. If you're at the beginning of this journey, I'm just going to encourage you and cheer you on for this. But there's so many beautiful possibilities and timelines unfolding for you, Pile One. I'm so proud, so happy for you guys, and I really can't wait to see where this takes you. So I hope that resonates, guys. If it does, drop it down in the comments. I always love hearing from you guys. Give me a like, hit the thumbs up button, and make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, of course. And this video was posted early on Patreon, and it was posted ad-free. All my videos are posted first on Patreon. And you will also get access to about 70 additional readings as soon as you sign up. New content goes up all the time. So there are readings about every topic under the sun: love, relationships, career, money, family, friends, where you should live, spirituality, shadow work, so many different topics. So if that all sounds good to you and you want to join me over on Patreon, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description, and I would love to see you there. Also, if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long reading with me, have me pull tarot for you, channel for you, read your astrology, or a combination of all of the above, and you get to obviously choose whatever topic you want clarity on and you want me to tune into. So if that sounds good to you, head to my link in my description for briarrosetarot.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you guys in the next reading. Take care. Bye. Hey, Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So for your oracle cards, you guys got education, goblins, solitude, and flying. So for some of you guys, you may really be feeling the need to do some shadow work lately, to go inward, maybe even to spend some time alone. You may be processing certain relationships that have been around you and questioning whether you want some of those people around you in your life. For others of you, this may be an unwanted separation that has happened. So there's some kind of complicated messages coming through for you. But first, I want to give you a pat on your back and just a little bit of a small round of applause for the work you guys have already done, because I feel like you have really been processing things in a really mature way. A lot of you guys have done some very deep inward work to make yourself less emotionally reactive or less emotionally volatile. And I just kind of want to point out that you have done so much maturing. Like, I feel like the version of you that existed 3 years ago or 5 years ago or just 1 year ago would have handled things completely different, and maybe couldn't have even handled this situation. Like, maybe if this had happened to you, 3 years ago, you would have been beside yourself, or you couldn't have even handled it at all maturely. And I feel like you are really, really growing, and that is a testament to the work you have put in. A lot of you guys have been putting in work to make yourself a better, more mature person, and it has really worked. It is really paying off. So just kind of giving yourself that credit and seeing yourself through that lens is, I think, something a lot of you guys really need to do. And I'm hearing you're not quite there yet. So if there has been a delay in a relationship or some kind of separation that you are unhappy about, you need to know that, like, you're still alchemizing, you're still cooking. Maybe this person is alchemizing and cooking, and maybe that's why they needed a little space, or they're being standoffish if they are. I also feel like for some of you guys, this could be like a long-term relationships, and not even romantic necessarily, but with someone where maybe you are like, I'm the one pulling away because I don't want to be around them anymore because I'm sick of their behavior. But I feel like you need to know that this is all happening as it's supposed to. And I think so much of the time when we have ideas of things, it's funny because we as humans, we tend to attach a timeline onto them. And that's just really not how they think on the other side. They just don't have this fixation on time. time that we as humans have. And it's funny because when you think about the sign that's probably like the most late and the most kind of like a mess, you'd probably think of Pisces, right? And Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is about connecting to the other side, right? So, it's, I always just love how astrology connects everything, but there's some wisdom in that because really, even though it may be irritating when someone shows up late, we're not really designed to be so fixated on time, and they certainly aren't on the other side. So I think sometimes when someone is like, well, I don't understand why, I was super into this guy and now he's pulling away. Well, maybe he needs to do some self-growth work. Maybe the version of him that exists now couldn't be good enough for you to be in a relationship with. Maybe he needs to go off on his own and work on himself and then come back and be an amazing partner to you. Or maybe he's not the right one for you. And both of you guys are going to go on individual journeys of inner growth and discovery, and become a better version who has a better partner that's better suited for you. But it's so funny because we often want it like right now, and it has to look a certain way and it has to happen a certain way, when sometimes the best thing a person can do is kind of like pull away in a moment and maybe they'll return to you. And I think the best thing we can do as humans is to understand that process and not get super like grabby and desperate and trying to hold on to something that maybe is feeling like it's naturally flowing out of your life. And again, this can work on both sides. Sometimes we're the one pulling away, and sometimes we're the one who's gets pulled away from. But either way, understanding that everything is working out for our greatest and highest good. So if you are feeling the need to distance yourself from a relationship, especially, I think how I know that something is really from spirit is when I don't attach a ton of emotion to it. Now, emotion is okay. Emotion can be a beautiful thing. But when I'm really feeling like a very unemotional sense of like, I don't know if I want to be friends with this person anymore, or I don't know if I want to keep calling this person. And it's not like I'm angry in the moment or I'm sad or I'm upset. It's just like a kind of like inner knowledge, like this isn't working for me anymore. Then that is such a confirmation that that's something you need to listen to. And again, it may just be for a temporary period. It may be for a season, it may be for a few weeks, it may be for a few months or years or longer. But if it's meant for you, it will always find you. And if it's not meant for you, it won't. So the worst thing we can do is try to like strong arm something into our life and like white knuckle it and make it happen and hold on to it as tightly as we can, when the reality is that something so much better may be waiting to take its place. And I gave this example in another reading I did recently. I'm not going to go over the whole thing again, but I was just mentioning how I was staying in a hotel. I was complaining about a minor issue, which was like some noise in the mornings, like at 7 in the morning or something that would kind of wake me up. It wasn't like super loud, but it was enough to wake me up. I mentioned it to the hotel just to be like, could y'all like do something about this noise? And they were insistent that I should move rooms. I did not want to move rooms. I did not want to pack my stuff up, and I was feeling sorry for myself. I was mad about it in my feelings. And of course, when they moved me to the new room, it was just amazing. It was much better than the old room. And I think so much in life, we really tend to do that. We resist change, even though what is on the other side may be so much better for us. So for a lot of you guys, if there has been a shift or there's something you're feeling called in your spirit, this may even just be you're feeling called to go into a hermit mode for a little while and do some inner work and move away from various people in your life. Maybe you're feeling like, you know what, I do want some time alone. I am wanting to maybe distance myself from certain people. Trusting that process, because sometimes it can be just as hard to be the one who's leaving, right? Sometimes it can be just as hard, even if we feel something so strong, to be the one brave enough to set out on that journey. But for a lot of you guys, again, I think you'll know when something is for you when it feels really unemotional. That's when you know, I gotta do this. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a difference between being like, you know what, I'm never gonna call that person again, and I'm gonna teach them a lesson, and this is so unfair, and like that highly emotional reaction, and like, I just need to stop calling that person. Yeah. I just need to stop calling them. And almost anxiety when we start calling them, a feeling from our spirit tugging away at us is like, why are you calling them? What are you doing? You know, you feel drained after talking to them. You know what I mean? That's what I mean when I say a knowing. That's not really emotional. And I think a lot of times people conflate heavy emotions with like an intuition, like feeling like, well, I get really angry when I talk to this person, so that means that I need to cut them off. And it may be that that is the case. It's up to for you to interrogate, but I honestly feel like the best energy for us to be in is a place of calmness, and that's when we can really process things. That's when we can really know that, you know, that needs to go. And it's when we're emotional, it can kind of cloud our judgment. But obviously, if you're feeling super sad and upset every time you talk to someone, that can be your signal as well. But yeah, I think for you guys, maybe there has been something that you feel some clarity about lately. You're ready to let go of in some way, or that person has let go of things with you. Either way, trusting that this is for your greatest and highest good is going to be so key to getting through this process. And on the other side of it, we got the flying card. So honestly, I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be doing really well regardless of how this situation works out. So whether you had to let go of a relationship, whether you have had to let go of a career, whatever this is, just know that this is not the end of the road for you and you have so many options. And that gets me into your tarot. So we got the Page of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Magician card, and the Seven of Wands. So if this was a romantic relationship, your guides, angels, and ancestors, they just want you to know that pile two, y'all are looking really good, okay? You guys are this Page of Wands. You may be very flirty, very seductive. You may have a lot going on. So there is no need, if this is a romantic person you're upset about, there is no need for you to get upset and to stay fixated on this person who left or a relationship that didn't work out, because y'all have the magic sauce, whatever it is, je ne sais quoi energy that's going to bring so many people to you. So many people are going to be drawn to you, pile one. So in that way, you just need to continue to be willing to put yourself out there and kind of have that Page of Wands bravery, because the Page of Wands is an energy that is not going to stay inside and mope and cry and, you know, process things. A Page of Wands is just going to get back out there, start again, try it again. Page of Wands is not going to let the grass grow under his feet. He's going to be out and about, flirting, having fun, enjoying. And I really feel like for a lot of you guys, this is your call of like, if there's a situation you're having to let go of, I also think something in the spiritual community that we can do is like, we have this idea that the only way to spiritually mature or grow is to be like sitting at home with like a spiritual book and like meditating for 5 hours and eating like plain oatmeal and, you know, chanting all day, when the reality is that we have different spiritual experiences from different things. And yes, there's value in chanting, there's value in, you know, fasting or whatever spiritual practice. There's value in having alone time and all those things, but there's also value in like going out and flirting. There's value in having relationships. There's value in having fun with friends or going to work out or, you know, laughing with your sister or whatever the case may be. So if you guys have been feeling like, oh, well, I have to go into hermit mode, I have to heal, I have to whatever, you can also have that permission that you give yourself of like, well, maybe it's actually okay for me to go out there and flirt. Maybe it's okay for me to go out and have fun. Maybe if it's a friendship or a family member that you're kind of putting on the back burner and you're kind of freezing out that relationship, maybe you can do something else to distract yourself. I think sometimes too, like there's been times when I've gotten like really upset in certain situations, and when I think about it afterwards, like, well, why am I so upset about this? It's almost like, you know, small things. Like when you think about like a waiter bringing you the wrong item or someone being like, you know, doing something kind of like stupid or careless or something. And you're like, why? Like, okay, the waiter gave me the wrong food item twice, but why am I like actually like heated over this? Like, it's not that big of a deal. So why is my like nervous system acting up? Why am I getting like mad and thinking about it, you know, an hour later, I mean, like they did it on purpose. And I think some of the reason why is almost like because deep down, we kind of don't feel like we deserve to be treated well. So we'll almost amp up our emotions to be like, this is really unfair, because it's almost like we need to get that mad in order to stand up for ourselves, or in order to say something to the waiter, or in order to, actually speak up. So we end up having this outsized emotional reaction that even we can't get rid of, right? Like even we're maybe after the fact still like mad about it, bringing it up to a friend, talking about it to someone, being like, yeah. And then I asked him, like, I had asked for the sauce on the side. He brings it a second time. There's double sauce on it, and the person's like, okay, they don't even care that much, like they're not that interested, but we keep fixating on it. And I think a big part of the reason is it's almost like we're trying to give ourselves permission, like to ask for it to be redone, or to say, I was in the right? Like, because there's deep down, we have this sense of like, maybe I do deserve to have the wrong food brought to me. Maybe I don't deserve to get what I want. You know what I mean? I was thinking about the psychology of that. And I think sometimes we do that in relationships as well, or in things in our life where maybe we feel like I let go of that friendship, and I'd be like a sociopath if I was out celebrating and partying and having fun again. Or I let go of this romantic relationship, and in order for that romantic relationship to mean something, I have to like play it up in my mind, and I have to be drifting around sad and listening to like really sad music all the time, and I have to be like looking at his pictures and crying, when the reality is that the relationship is whatever it was, and there's no amount of like post-processing that's going to change that event. You know what I mean? And I know this may sound, I hope it's making sense, it probably sounds a little strange, but I just feel like sometimes we need to give ourselves permission not to even be in that energy of mourning or over processing. Because I know as a Cancer moon, I have spent many times ruminating, thinking about things, processing it. And I think some of the time when we do find ourselves ruminating, it's because like we really feel guilty about making a change. Like maybe we kind of want to cut off like a toxic aunt or a toxic parent, but deep down we feel like, oh yeah, but I feel so guilty. I owe my parents something. And when I can think of all the people that I've cut out in my life, I feel like I went through a lot of phases of putting up with stuff, even after I knew that the situation was kind of like messed up, because I didn't want to feel guilty, right? And I would feel super bad if I just cut them off. So instead of listening to my intuition, I'd continue interacting with them. I'd continue being around them, because I was like, yeah, but I don't want to be the bad guy and cut them off. So I'd wait until the situation, this is such a Pisces thing, by the way, we can be such little cowards with this, but we can continue to be nice to someone until they do something so mean. This is why we're the martyr. And then we get to be the martyr and be like, see, I can't believe they did that. I was only nice, but we wanted to cut it off the whole time. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it's just giving yourself that permission to do it like day one, or not even allowing yourself to get so upset to the waiter and being like, thinking about like, I can't believe he put the sauce on twice. I asked him twice. I can't believe this, because I literally was when I came in, I mentioned I was gluten-free, and then he said the sauce had gluten. So I told him like 3 separate times, and it's like, who even cares? Just be like, oh yeah, you got this wrong again. Can I have it with the sauce on the side? And you don't even need to like get into an emotional place of feeling like a victim, feeling mad, being upset, letting yourself go there. You know what I mean? So I hope what I'm saying makes sense, but sometimes it's like we really want something, we really have a goal or a dream or something we want in our life, but we feel like we have to act a certain way. We feel like we have to mourn a relationship, or we feel like, it would be horrible if I went on a new date now because we just broke up. But if that's what you're feeling called to do, then listen to that. Listen to yourself. You don't owe anyone any kind of explanation. You also don't have to have some kind of specific like version of yourself, whether it's like the really nice person version, or the like sweet put upon daughter, or the, really nice big sister that keeps being disrespected by her younger siblings but continues to hang out with them, or the, mourning ex-girlfriend that like cries for her ex-boyfriend every night. We can just choose like what identity and what energy we want to step into. So if we want to be happy and we want to be living our best life, then just giving ourselves that full permission to step into that, not feeling like we kind of have to like edit ourselves or be guilty, or we have to act a certain way, or we have to react a certain way, but like fully giving ourselves a green light to do whatever we want. So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm even making sense, but I hope it does. And then we also have the Seven of Wands, and I do feel like, again, that's that reminder that if y'all are mourning an ex or a romantic situation, y'all are gonna have so many suitors. A lot of you guys, I feel like pile two, you guys are a really top tier type of energy. A lot of you guys have so many people that would want to date you. A lot of you guys, if you're thinking about like career stuff, or this is coming up with your career, you may have the kind of resume or work experience that would make you so in demand and really make a lot of people want to hire you. You guys are the magician, okay? So you can manifest literally whatever you want. You guys may be master manifestors. So why would you stay in a Ten of Swords energy? Why would you allow yourself to feel defeated or to feel like you're not good enough when you guys are capable of creating literally whatever you want? And knowing that our current energy creates our future, why would we say in a negative, low vibrational type of place? Let me get some more tarot cards too for pile two. So we want to get some tarot cards for pile two. Okay, so we got the Ace of Cups. Oh my gosh. And see, that's exactly what we want to see in this kind of reading, because if y'all are open to it, this may be a new relationship that wants to come into you. Ace of Cups can be really beautiful new relationships. And again, I think so much of the time, this could even be with like an ex, old twin flame, old romantic partner from a while ago. But it could be that there's a part of you that's like, yeah, but if I move on, then that relationship, I'll be disrespecting that relationship. Or maybe there's a part of you that deep down thinks that in order for your relationship to be a true twin flame, romantic, deep love connection, that you have to like mourn it and you have to be sad and you have to be, but the reality is whatever the relationship was, if it was a twin flame, if it was a soulmate, then that energy is intact. There's nothing you can do to change it, to disrespect it, to downgrade it. So if it truly was a soul to soul soulmate connection, then you staying single and miserable and being like alone and not dating again is not going to honor that relationship. And in many ways, you dating again actually may be exactly what the higher self of your twin flame would want. Of course, maybe their low vibrational human self may love the idea of you sitting at home alone, suffering, thinking about them, moping about them. But their higher version of themselves obviously wants you to thrive, wants you to do well. So for you guys, whatever stage you are within this, I just feel like there is a message for you to give yourself full permission. You don't owe anyone your sadness. You don't owe anyone your pain. And you don't have to stay consigned into a energy that is sad or mopey or negative in any kind of way. You deserve to be happy as a clam, to be living your best life, to be free, and to enjoy all the beautiful things that life has to offer. So if that's dating, then absolutely do that. If that's earning in a high career and making a lot of money, then do that. But for a lot of you guys, this is really about giving yourself. And sometimes I find, kids who are the parents of narcissists or whatever, they have a really hard time stepping into that energy of like, I can be happy, because their parents might get triggered when they were happy. I'm not saying y'all all have narcissists as parents, but I think a lot of people, even if it's not your parents, maybe you had friends who would get threatened because you would always date cute guys, or maybe they would get threatened if you got flirted with in a bar. So now whenever you go out, you subconsciously kind of dress down and like don't make eye contact and kind of like you're not your full fun flirty self. So this is your message to step into your highest version of yourself. And if that is bubbly, going out, dating, having fun, enjoying, then do that. Don't hold yourself back for anyone else's approval or hoping someone else is going to one day randomly come through. I also think this may be a message because, I feel like there's a lot of online discourse. I know this is maybe controversial for me to say, but there's a lot of online discourse about guys being like, oh, well, we don't want women who are ran through, whatever, women, body count, blah, blah, blah. And I honestly think, of course, you should make your decision for your body, and you should make, if you're like, yeah, I connect very deeply emotionally through sex, and I don't want to have sex with anyone that I don't care about, then that's completely 100% valid, and obviously a good thing. And spiritual sex is a beautiful thing, so respecting that, I think, is fine. But I also think people should make decisions for themselves. And I think a lot of young women, kind of especially now with online discourse, may feel scared to like be in a relationship or date or whatever, because they're afraid of that judgment. They're afraid of someone thinking of them as like, some of those nasty words that I don't even want to repeat, and afraid of kind of the vitriol that gets directed at people like that. And I think what needs to be understood is a lot of it comes from a place of jealousy. A lot of it is maybe from a place of trying to control you. A lot of it is from a place of just trying to make someone's self-esteem lowered. And the reality is that you should live your best life for you, for what you want, for what you think, for what brings you enjoyment, whatever that is. So if that is, you want to like live on a farm in the countryside and you have no interest in dating, then God bless, and that's exactly what you should do for your life. And if you're like, no, I want to go out and flirt and I'm going to be safe, but I want to be flirting, I want to be going on dates, I want to be socializing, then that's what you should do. So again, I'm not saying anyone should make any kind of choice. It's your life and you should live it how you want. And that's my point, is you should know inside what you want, and you shouldn't allow yourself to be held back by anyone else's limitations on you. It's funny because they're releasing that movie, they just released it, about Napoleon, and they cast like this guy who's like 20 years older than the actress in it, which is so funny because it's the exact opposite of reality. And the girl in the movie, Josephine, or the actual Josephine, was 6 years older than Napoleon. She also was a single mom. She didn't have teeth, or she had rotten teeth. Literally, that is like documented. And Napoleon was the most powerful man maybe in the world at the time, definitely in France. He was the emperor and he was obsessed with her. So it's so funny because I feel like a lot of the online discourse that gets directed at women, like people will be so anti-single moms, or they'll be like, oh, like someone hit the wall or whatever. And it just shows how ridiculous all that is and how unpredictable the special energy of love can be. And so again, I'm not trying to get off on a complete tangent, but sometimes I think it's sad to see people holding themselves to really toxic ideas and concepts that may get spread online, and integrating that into their self-image, thinking that like they're a loser because, I don't know, they do have a child and they got a divorce. And the reality is that there's probably someone who's gonna come along and be completely obsessed with you. And also think about where that's motivated from. Maybe someone wants you to feel low vibrational because they would like to have access to you. So they're trying to bring down your self-esteem. So all of that to say is just live your life for you. Figure out the kind of life that will genuinely make you happy. What kind of life excites you? What in life makes you feel good, makes you feel excited, energetic, ready to wake up? What kind of activity would make you jump out of bed and get all happy and get all dolled up in front of the mirror being like giddy about it? If that's going on a date, but you're terrified because you live in a really small town and everyone in your town loves to gossip, and you're like, I really like this new guy, but I have an ex-boyfriend, and if I go on a date with the new guy, everyone's going to talk about it, then go on the date. Of course, I don't live in your small town. I don't know how bad it might get. But my point is that stop thinking about the judgment of what others are going to say in literally any direction, and focus entirely on what you want and doing that. Because a lot of you guys have so many opportunities, and it's almost like you're keeping yourself on the sidelines, or you're not fully embracing them because you're afraid of what others are going to think, or you have some idea that you have to live a certain way, or that, maybe like, I'm a good girl, I'm not a bad girl, so I'm not gonna go out to the nightclubs, but you really want to go out to the nightclubs. If that's what you want for your one short life, which I do believe you get multiple lifetimes, but you know what I mean, then you need to do it, because we don't have unlimited time on this planet, and you're never going to be as young as you are now, right? You may be more beautiful than you are now, because I don't think age necessarily relates to beauty, but you're never going to be at this moment with all the opportunities you have in front of you right now. So stop listening to other narratives or negative stuff. And if you are watching anything that says negative stuff about people in general, and if you're a woman, especially, don't be watching negative stuff about women and allowing that to integrate into your mind, because that is just a recipe for disaster. Be careful about what you consume and what you allow to seep into your consciousness, because why let a bunch of losery people dictate your mindset? I think some of you guys need to be very clear about what you allow in, because I am hearing that some of y'all have attracted almost like a lot of jealousy or toxic people around you. Some of y'all have attracted people who are like looking at you from the sidelines, and they want so desperately to be you. This may not even be in regards to romantic stuff. It may be other people. There may be jealous, toxic haters around you in some way. And you just need to have that permission to know that you're not going to give them any of your energy. They just know they want to be you. And it is something where they are going crazy that they can't. So take it as a compliment. I know it stinks, but take it as a compliment. Let's get some astrodice to end this reading on. Oh my gosh. Okay, that one was about to spin off, so I'm going to spin it again. It was about to roll off the desk. So we got Neptune, second house, and Virgo. Okay, awesome. So I get to talk about the second house, which I love. I love the second house, probably because my Venus is there. So it's my favorite house, maybe. Well, I don't know, but I love second house things. So second house to me is Taurus energy. I always think of Taurus as like the beautiful first buds of spring, the smell in the air of like flowers and new grass and a beautiful like pink sunset. Taurus is just all the good things in life. It's good food. It's good, beautiful things, it's beautiful items, it's beautiful makeup and clothing and all of that. And honestly, it's good romantic relationships as well, because Taurus is a very romantic sign ruled by Venus. So again, this is that reminder that if you've been keeping yourself on the sidelines, or you have some idea, I think sometimes people also like, they create images of themselves and they may correspond again to online discourse, especially if the person is like perpetually online, which is easy to do nowadays, right? But so it's like, they'll say something like, well, I'm a nerd, so I would never, I don't know, fill in the blank, like, go to a Taylor Swift concert, or I'm a nerd, so I would never go to a nightclub. Or the opposite, I'm a person who goes to nightclubs, so I would never go to the chess tournament. But maybe you really want to go to the chess tournament, or maybe you're that nerd and you really love Taylor Swift, but maybe you think of her as like a sorority girl stereotype. Either way, if that's what you're feeling called to, if that's what is going to bring you joy, then you might as well do it. And that's going to be your most authentic version of you. And there's no right or wrong answer. We're all different. That's the beauty of life. So all of us aligned with our highest version of ourselves, we're going to naturally seek out different things. So we might as well be our best version and genuinely lean into those things that bring us happiness, whether that's a relationship, whether that's flirting, whether that's going on some dates with someone new, whether that's eating the chocolate cake that we really want to order, whether it is, you know, deciding that we are going to make time to go on a little nature walk after work. We need to take the time to make our life magical and find those little moments of transcendence. And that is why we came to this planet. That's why the world is so beautiful like it is. That's totally Taurus energy, is like actual physical earth beauty. So honestly, for a lot of you guys, this may be even about indulging in the five senses more. So that's like taste, smell, sight, what's the sound, and touch. So finding things that bring you joy and living a life where you are truly feeling all the things and enjoying all the things, that may be what you guys are being called to do. We also got Neptune. Neptune is also kind of a, well, it's kind of like a Venus energy as well. I've heard it described as a higher octave of Venus. And Neptune is all about kind of like living in the moment and enjoying things and doing what feels good. It's a very intuitive sign as well. So I think sometimes, again, that feeling of being drawn to something is really a gift from spirit. That feeling of like, I really want to go to that rave, even though none of my friends are into it, but I really want to go to a rave. And maybe that's something you should start seeking out and going to raves on your own. And maybe you'll meet people there and become part of the little group. And next thing you know, you'll be a rave girl because you always wanted to do that, but you were too scared. Do it. You know, life is short. Do it. That's what you should do. And if spirit has put a desire in your heart, that may be an intuitive pull that you're supposed to follow. And if you can just follow that little arrow of like, I'm seeking out the things that bring me happiness, truly you will be able to manifest the most amazing things. That is such a major key to transforming your life. And then we also have Virgo. So Virgo is the 6th house. It is a health house. It's also a house of how you spend your day-to-day time, your schedule. And so for some of you guys, this may be about being more selective about how you spend your time, being more conscious of that. And again, going back to the original lesson that I'm getting about some of you guys, you know, Virgo can have a tendency to really ruminate, overthink things, really kind of be critical or overly thoughtful about things. They are ruled by Mercury. So again, I think sometimes someone, maybe they have an ex that they miss, so they end up ruminating about that person all the time, when maybe the best thing for them to do would just be to start dating again, put themselves out there, enjoy, see what comes next, flirt around a little bit. Maybe that would actually be the way for them to cure it instead of like hyper fixating on one thing, you know? So yeah, I think for you guys, there's a lot of messages coming through. Some of them are contrasting, I feel, but I hope it did resonate, guys. If it did, let me know down in the comments. I'm really curious about this pile, so I would love to know how it resonated for you if it did resonate. Also, make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to see more of my readings, head to my Patreon. This was posted early on Patreon and ad-free. All my YouTube videos get posted first over on Patreon. And you will also get access to over 70 additional readings as soon as you sign up. So there are readings about love, relationships, career, money, spirituality, shadow work, family, friends, where you should live. Every topic under the sun we try to cover, and new ones go up all the time. So if you would like to sign up and join me over there, go to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description, and I would love to see you there. Also, if you would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can sign up for a half-hour or a full hour-long session with me, have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you, and you obviously get to ask me basically whatever you want. So if that sounds good, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading. So you guys got Mountain, Moonlight, Intention, and Goblins. So I almost feel like some of you guys, maybe you're at the beginning of building something that's going to be really special. Maybe spirit has put something in your heart and this is like your beginning of your manifestation journey, because I always think the beginning of the manifestation journey, sometimes it feels just random, like we're randomly desiring something, or we randomly become interested in something, or we start thinking, wow, that would be really nice. And it's kind of hard to know like, oh, this is a part of the journey, but it really is. It's kind of like how Abraham Hicks says, you have to know what you like and what you don't like. So you have to figure out first, where do you want to head? And I feel like for some of you guys, spirit has put a little desire in your heart that really has the potential to pan out into something a lot bigger. You may be very highly psychic at this time, and you may be getting a lot of downloads for whatever this is. But this is your message that if spirit has put something in your heart that may seem out of reach, or may seem a little crazy, or may seem like, well, how could that happen? That it totally is possible. If this is something that seems really dauntingly big, then not to worry, because, you know, there is time for things to develop. If you had told me certain things that would happen in my life, I would have literally been like, there's literally no way. That's just not how I am. That's not who I am. And you know, God bless you. I appreciate it. In fact, I've had psychic readings where, you know, people told me stuff and I was not believing it. That's actually one of my favorite readings to do is sometimes you'll get a person who comes back to you for a psychic reading and they're like, the first time we had the reading, I thought you were crazy. I thought everything you said was nuts. And then it all ended up coming true. So never doubt the ability of the universe to surprise you, the ability of life to throw you for a loop. And like I said, I know in my old psychic readings, some of the things that the psychics told me, and I would reread my notes later and be like, oh my God, I remember them saying that. And I remember the non-belief and the like, okay, sure, yeah, that's going to happen. But the universe has a wild ride for us. And the fact that maybe sometimes we can't see how it's going to happen, or it doesn't fully make sense, or at the time it's just a kind of glimmer of an idea of like, maybe that, I don't know, maybe, or I can kind of see how that would look, or, well, yeah, I am interested in that. Like one of the things that psychics would always tell me is that I had psychic abilities. I had a lot of people on the other side around me, that I could do it professionally if I wanted. And honestly, at the time, I was like, yeah, I think I've always been good at that, but it's so funny now, cut to me doing tarot readings on YouTube. I don't think I would have predicted that. And look what happened. So that's just one example, but I could give a million others. And so like I said, don't think that you got to all figure it out, or that there's no way, I'm not that kind of person, because pile 3, you may be capable of more than you realize. And I think the universe loves to surprise us. There's that phrase, make plans, God laughs. So if there's something that lately you've been thinking a lot on, maybe there's something that just randomly has been at the top of your thoughts, or you're feeling a call towards it, or maybe you don't feel like it's a part of your personality, don't count it out, because it may happen. I'm almost feeling like there's some people in this pile who have not been in a relationship for a really long time, and they may be feeling lately like, maybe I'll date again, or maybe they've been listening to like your next relationship readings, and for the first time it really resonates with them, and they're like, maybe I will get a relationship soon. But then there's that part of them that's like, oh my God, girl, you have not dated in like 5 years. You're not going to get in a relationship. What are you talking about? And you, especially if you have been doing shadow work, you may be more equipped for it than you realize. And life is transformative. Spirit knows how to transform us in ways to make us receptive to whatever this is. And also there's a message to trust that process. So if you find yourself being really daunted by something, or being really shocked in a certain situation, or having things thrown at you that you just haven't expected, or that seem to be kind of like pulling you or pushing you in a certain direction, or making you dig deep into reservoirs of strength that you didn't know you had, all those things can be really positive, because again, they're pushing us in a certain direction. It may not be pleasant to go through, it may be painful, it may feel like growing pains, but you may be being realigned with something that's going to be so much better. When I look back at like a lot of the shadow work I've done, I'm so grateful for all those seasons when I felt like, oh my God, like this is so depressing to go through. This is so heavy. Why do I have to deal with this? But you know what? It all leads you to exactly where you're supposed to go. And in the end, it's so freeing. It's so freeing to have done that shadow work, to have worked on, fixing the kind of lower vibrational parts of yourself. And I just got the message that for some of you guys, you are very psychic. Some of the people in this pile could even maybe do it professionally, because you guys really do have a gift and an insight. And also, one thing I notice is all people who do like light work, spiritual wisdom, they've all gone through some ish, okay? No one who is on this path that I have seen really just had, well, I guess some people, you know what, like I think Joel Osteen had an easier early life, but everyone has to deal with some stuff to shape them into the person they're going to become. And Joel is so positive. He may just be saying that because he's not the type to dwell on the negative, but I bet there are some really like hard, trying times he went through. You have to you learn so much from those hard times, from the negativity. So some of y'all may be being prepared to accomplish something really big, and that's why you have to go through the hardship. That's why you've had to deal with the difficulty, is because you're gaining so much wisdom from this process. And that's such an important part of your journey and of what you're put on this earth to do. So don't get mad. I know it's hard when you're dealing with all the BS and it just seems like nothing's working out and it just seems like you can't catch a break, but you may be being refined, just in the same way that if they are going to make a sword, they have to heat it up to like insanely high temperatures to sharpen it enough. So you got to get it up until it's like glowing red. It's really hard, but you know, you couldn't become a beautiful gleaming sword unless you're heated to those high temperatures. And a diamond cannot exist unless it was a piece of coal put under enormous pressure for a really long period of time. So in the same token, maybe y'all are being made into little diamonds and you are being prepared for a better version of this. But I do feel like this is a very spiritually gifted pile. I feel like a lot of you who picked pile 3, you may have really prophetic dreams, really amazing insights. For some of you guys, it may be important to create a dream journal and start jotting down your dreams, because I feel like a lot of you guys are getting visions through your dreams. Some of you guys may even have the potential to be like mediums if you've ever seen a ghost, or you felt, you know, one thing I think about being a psychic is it's just kind of like having your antenna up. And it's funny because this Neptune symbol, it kind of looks like a little antenna. And a big part of it is just being like open, you know, preparing yourself and not being closed off. And so a good way to practice that is to find moments of peace, to either meditate or just like when you find yourself in the shower or chopping vegetables or whatever, keep yourself open. If you have a question, something that you're stressing about or nervous about, or ideally it's better for even situations you're not stressed about, you might just practice sitting on your bed, closing your eyes, finding ideally a peaceful environment, a quiet environment, and then closing your eyes and just listening to what Spirit says. And if you start doing that, you may find that you might even just do it initially with celebrities or with, you know, my sister and her boyfriend. Is he gonna propose? When is he gonna propose? I think it's soon, but when? And they might tell you 2 months, and then you're amazed that it happens in 2 months. You might find some really cool experiences like that when you start putting that antenna on and fully trusting it, fully trusting the information it gives you, instead of doubting it, instead of being like, yeah, I'm not that good. Actually listening and actually paying attention, you might find that, you know, I'm a lot more accurate than I realized. You know, I find that even for me, there was a process where I would kind of doubt myself. Now it's funny, it's so easy because, like, I don't want to go into specifics, but the other day I kind of had to make a decision and I was leaning towards this one decision, and I just felt strongly in my heart that that just wasn't going to be what happened. But I was like, oh, I think that's what I'm leaning towards. And it ended up being at the last second that that decision I was leaning towards didn't work out. So the decision was made for me and it was perfect. And I was really happy with it. And I had this peace the whole time. But that's just like a tiny example that happened like super recently. But things like that happen all the time. And once you learn to get into the habit of just trusting your intuition, it just makes things so much easier. Like, you don't have to stress and have worry and anxiety over tiny things because you're already, your antenna's up, you're already getting those messages from Spirit. And you also can come from a place of heart, of calm, knowing that everything is happening for your greatest and highest good. So whatever works out is how it's supposed to work out. But yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys in this pile, you are super, super psychic at this moment. Let's get into some tarot. So we got Temperance, the Moon, oh my gosh, highly psychic sign, wow, speaking of, and then we also have the Page of Pentacles and the Strength card. So with the Moon card, that is actually ruled by Pisces. It also obviously reminds me of the Moon and Cancer in astrology. So super, super, super psychic. So again, more of that confirmation that some of you guys, you really need to be leaning into it. You really need to be trusting it. I'm hearing some of you guys are really good with animals. That can also be a sign that you are very psychic and that you have psychic abilities and that you're a little bit of an ascended soul. As if random animals seem to be really drawn to you, come to you out of nowhere, just seem to like cuddle up to you or walk up to you in public, then that can be a sign that you do have psychic gifts as well. So pay attention to those things. Don't just dismiss them or say, oh, I bet that happens to everyone. You know, that's how I felt when the psychics would tell me back in the day that I had psychic abilities. I was like, yeah, but I mean, doesn't everyone? And I just thought it was like normal, you know, to have that. But it's something you do need to listen to and take seriously. It's something that you need to pay attention to. And also talking to your guides, speaking to them out loud, asking them for help with things, asking them to show you things or make decisions for you is also a way for you to strengthen that, because obviously the tighter the relationship you have with your ancestors, angels, your guides, also don't insult your ancestors for the most part. I know if you had like a personal relationship with someone and they treated you really bad, then of course you can say what you want and process it however you want. But if you like didn't know an ancestor and you're like rebuking them or cursing them or something, I just think that's a really bad spiritual practice, considering how much ancestors play a role in our lives and how much they can help us from the other side. Being respectful to them is also really key. I even create plates for my ancestors, like, you know, I'll make them food and leave a plate for them. This is really common in a lot of Eastern cultures. They do a lot of explicit ancestor worship. So don't insult your ancestors, guys, and be respectful and talk to them and talk to your angels, talk to everyone on the other side so that you'll have your big team. That's what one of the psychics told me. She was like, you have the biggest team I've ever seen on the other side. And I'm like, well, they need to like get to work then. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, yeah, the more you talk, the more you speak aloud, the more you involve them in your everyday decisions, the more they'll be like, oh, this person's receptive. Oh, I can help them. And sometimes they just want to get that permission from you too, of like, can you help me with this? Because they might want to help, but they have certain rules on the other side. So the more you can ask them for help, tell them what to do, be direct with them, the more they will intervene. So a lot of you guys have this amazing spiritual potential, and I think some of you guys really need to start working on it. You could be a real powerhouse with that. You need to lean into it. You need to stop dabbling. Maybe some of you guys have even thought about creating like a YouTube channel or a TikTok or an Instagram. If that's the case, I definitely think you guys should, you know, lean into it. And of course, if you are like, well, I don't know anything about tarot, or I know nothing about astrology, or I'm not ready for YouTube, that's totally fine. It's totally fine to take your time. We even got the Temperance card. And like I said, I can sense some of you guys are at the beginning of something. So it may not be you're at the point where you're like, I'm fully ready to put it all out there and show my face on YouTube and blah, blah, blah. If that's the case, completely understand, and that's fine. But it may be something for you to start making a habit of working on every day and really trying to get better at it, to trust yourself, and to fully lean into it and to fully make the most of it. For others of you, this may not even be a psychic project. It may be the beginning of a creative project. It may be the beginning of a business you want to start, or some kind of, yeah, new, fresh other thing, I guess, that's outside of the realm of spirituality. But either way, I'm hearing for some of you guys, it could even be a move. But either way, there is that message for you to pursue it. Also for you to give it time and have patience in this, because I am feeling like if this is something you're really wanting to build, it may not happen right away. This may not be something that wraps up within like, oh, a couple weeks, it's done. It may be something that it takes a while. It's kind of like if you're searching for a home. I always hear those stories about someone who buys a home, like the first home they see, and then we close in like a day. And I'm always like, I wonder if you should have done that. Because sometimes, you know, and when you have that deep feeling inside, then of course you should go for it. But sometimes there are people who would like accept anything and be like, oh, awesome, I'm perfect. Even when it's like really bad, you know? And I'm always like, I don't know which side you're on. Like, were you really aligned with it and it was the right fit? Or are you that kind of person that's just super non-picky and would take whatever? Because me, I'm like a picky person. I'm picky in general, whether it comes to like food and what I eat in a restaurant. I'll always be that person who's like, oh, and could you serve that on the side? And, you know, could you bring a little salt? Or, you know, could this be done different? Could you grill that? Because I'm picky, you know, and I'm picky with where I live. I'm picky with everything, okay? I can't help it. Maybe it's my Virgo South node. And so I can never, like, I always respect the people who can just, you serve them whatever food and they'll just eat it and they don't care. Or they could live in like the super noisy, horrible apartment and they don't care. It doesn't bother them. I honestly respect the heck out of it, but it's like, it could never be me. You know, I just know myself, it could never be me. And so I think sometimes there's something to be said, even though it's not necessarily the best story, but for taking a little bit of time with something, for taking time, letting it develop, letting things pan out, and not freaking out if like it doesn't work out the first day we try it. Sometimes we have this narrative where we want it to be like, I tried it and it worked out within a week, and I started a business and it became profitable within a month, and everything's going super great. But sometimes the best things in life take a little bit more time, and we shouldn't be afraid of that process. So I feel like for you guys, some of you, you're in the process of beginning to think on it. Maybe you're brainstorming. Maybe you're getting glimpses of it. This may not even be like a business or a career thing. It may be a new lifestyle. And maybe you're feeling called to try out like a fashion trend, but you're not sure if you're fully ready for it. You're not sure if you should do this. You're not sure if you can pull it off. And I feel like you are getting that message that it's okay to be patient with yourself. It's okay to take your time with this. You don't need to rush the process, but I do feel like you should seek it out. I do feel like you should give it a chance. There is some potential here. There is a lot of energy here that I feel like could turn out really good. So like I said, it's fine to be patient, but I see so much of a little seed with this. I feel like this is almost, and speaking of seeds, that's perfect because, you know, the smaller of a plant you're growing, the faster it will grow. And the bigger of a plant, like if you're growing an oak tree or something, that will take like hundreds of years to fully grow. So again, for a big project, it is totally normal and not even a bad thing if it's taking a while. And I do feel like for some of you guys, this could be something really big. Okay, so I had to turn on an additional light for you guys. It is getting dark so early and it's really killing my reading schedule. But anyway, yeah, I feel like for you guys, if this is even, like I said, a creative project or something new that you're thinking of, follow it. Follow this little thread to where it leads, because it may even be something like feeling called to travel to a certain area, or feeling like you want to start dating again, or whatever. It's almost like there's a little glimpse you're getting of something that has the potential to grow so much. I feel like for some of you guys, you're thinking of making a move. You're thinking of moving somewhere, settling down roots somewhere. And I feel like you need to know that this is very fruitful. There's a lot of potential. So I think I would say, of course, I don't know, because it's a general reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest. But I would say, to me, this is giving me a little bit of a green light energy. Let's get into some more tarot cards, though. See what else the cards have to say for pile number 3. What other cards do we want for pile number 3 from the tarot? And look, speaking of taking a while, it's taking a while to get a card out. So what other cards do we want for pile number 3? Okay, the death card. Interesting. But you know, before any new beginning comes a death card, comes an ending. We need to clear out the old to bring in the new. And I do feel like a lot of you guys are stepping into new identities, new versions of yourself. And this is why I also said in the reading, don't be afraid to try something new or to step into a new identity. And this is where I think sometimes when spirit shows us like the fullness of what's going to come next, it would freak us out so much. And like I said, for myself, when I can think of big changes that have happened for me, or the most massive transformations I've gone through, I'm like, I'm so glad spirit didn't show me everything that was going to happen at the beginning, because I know I would have been like, oh heck no, definitely not. It's almost like there has to be a little bit of that element of surprise, because if we could fully glimpse what spirit was about to do, we'd probably freak out. And I feel like for you guys, that's why this may have been presented to you not as fully knowing everything that was going to happen with this, not as fully being able to figure out everything that was about to take place, or fully understanding the whole path. Oftentimes these big journeys, these big gifts from spirit, these big transformations, they start out as, I'm just randomly interested in that place. Kind of like the person who feels called to travel to Italy and then they meet their husband, you know, and then they end up moving there and living there. And if they probably knew that they were going to be spending the next 10 Christmases with a huge Italian family, barely able to speak to everyone, and in the kitchen trying to cook, you know, carbonara with beautiful Italian nana grandmother, they probably would have been pretty freaked out and probably would have been like, no, I am not down. That is too much of a change. I'm from like a small town in the Midwest. I don't speak Italian. I'm good. I'm not doing that. But it's something they obviously end up absolutely loving and loving their new life. So sometimes spirit puts something in our heart as just like a little whisper. It's like, ooh, I want to fly to Italy. You know, I keep thinking of Italy. I keep getting visions of Italy. I keep, you know, wanting to crave Italian food and wanting to order pizza for everything. And that is their sign. They may not know that that's what's going on, but that's how spirit is preparing them for this new alignment and this new destiny. So again, for you guys, however small this may seem, if there's a sudden interest you've taken in something, if there's a new passion spirit has put in your heart, if there's a different energy that wants to enter in, don't be afraid to pursue it. Don't be afraid to try it out or give it a shot. A lot of you guys need to give this the full potential, allow it to transform into whatever it's going to. And spirit just showed me the same image I had earlier of like a seed, and it is, I think, that same oak tree seed, but instead it's put inside a really tiny box and it has no room to grow, versus like an oak tree in the middle of a lawn that has lots and lots of space and lots of nutrients to pull from. And obviously that oak tree that is placed in the lawn is going to be able to grow to its full height, and the oak tree placed in a tiny little pot with like nothing to pull from probably isn't even gonna grow at all. So much of the time we need to just be allowing ourselves to fully explore, giving ourselves that freedom instead of having that judgmental mindset that comes on and says like, oh, well, what are you doing? You're going to try to fly to Italy? Why? What's the point? You don't even get much vacation time. You were going to try to fly out to see your old college friends, and then you were going to go to see your mom. You don't have time to go spend 2 weeks in Italy. But instead, they listen to their intuition, they follow that little thread, and they allow it to take them to magical places. So if you're feeling called to do something a little crazy, or something that doesn't seem like it's making sense, or something that just seems like a little interest that you're like, I don't know what this is gonna be, follow it. Listen to that intuition. Let your calling of like, that brings me joy, that brings me happiness, be your guide. If you can follow that and let that be your arrow, trust me, you will have the most blessed, beautiful life. And think of it, I feel like Sagittarius and Pisces, both are Jupiter rules, both tend to do that. Sagittarius is fire sign ruled, so obviously they act a little different from Pisces, and they're more focused and more specific and like intentional with what they want. That's why they're the archer. But they tend to like get randomly interested in something and just do it and not really question themselves. It doesn't have to make sense to a Sag, because they're just like, yeah, I'm interested, I'm excited in this, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to travel to this place, I'm going to go there. That's why Sag, the ninth house, literally rules over travel. And then Pisces is the same, but in like more of a water sign way. So more of a gentler energy, less emotionally volatile or intense, but more like, you know, I feel like doing this today. I'm just going to do it. I'm obsessed with this kind of a movie, so I'm going to watch a bunch of movies with that, you know, and just kind of going with the whims of things. And it's funny because both are extremely lucky signs. Pisces is always the wealthiest sign, and then you have Sag, which literally is the luckiest sign in the zodiac, and Sag, Jupiter rules over luck. So for you guys, there's so many blessings that can be found when we allow ourselves to really chase our passions, when we allow ourselves to really pursue those little tiny magic desires spirit has put in our heart, not dismissing them, not being like, oh, well, it's just a stupid interest, or oh, well, it's just a random passing fancy, or it's a random, fad I'm going through or phase I'm going through. It is actually something spirit has put intentionally in your heart for you to listen to, for you to pay attention to. So whatever that is, if you're like, I kind of am super obsessed with science fiction novels and I really want to write a science fiction book, or I'm super obsessed with cooking and I kind of want to post a bunch of TikToks of myself showing myself cooking, or I want to go to cooking school, or I'm really suddenly obsessed with like Decatur, Alabama, and I really want to move there, listen to those things, because there may be something there for you to learn from. There may be something there that's going to teach you something that is aligned with your soul, aligned with your purpose. And that's really how we find our path, is pursuing those random little things spirit puts in our heart one at a time. Let's get into some more cards for pile number 3. What other cards do we have? So we also have the Eight of Wands. That's interesting because it's coming out over Temperance. And I'm going to get one more card, the Six of Wands. So also don't be afraid to post about it on social media if you've been feeling that way. For some of you guys, it may happen quickly. And I often think that a lot of our manifestations, sometimes they happen slowly and then all at once, like that phrase. You know, so because I think it was John Green who said, I fell in love slowly. I fell in love like falling asleep slowly and then all at once. And sometimes manifestations happen with that as well. Like we get a vision of something, we get an interest, we start to see the path kind of emerges slowly, and then suddenly everything happens. You know, all the things we prepared for, just boom, kind of comes down all at once. So some of you guys may be having that happen for you soon as well. You may be having some kind of a breakthrough with your manifestations. If there's been something that you've been working on for a really long time and you've been wanting some kind of forward momentum, that may be happening for you soon. Let's get into some astrology dice for pile number 3. So we got Mars, the 5th house, and then Libra. Okay, so Mars is Aries, then we also have 5th house Leo, and then Libra, of course. So let's start with the 5th house. Fifth house is a house of interest, hobbies, and things that really bring us joy and make us feel good. Creative. Again, I feel like for some of you guys, this is a highly creative instinct. It may be an instinct to write a book. I always think, I just recently read a really, really good book, and I was looking up the author. They had only written one thing, and they were saying, you know, I just felt like this idea kept coming to me. It's not like they're a professional author churning out books. It's not like they've written a million things under the sun. They have another career, but they just felt really called to write this same book. And it ended up being super, super, super successful. And again, I think for some of you guys, this may be creative. This may be something that Spirit is just tugging away at you. I have to write this. I have to do this. I should post this on YouTube. I should do this on TikTok, whatever it is. You might not even see a path for it to be monetized right now. Maybe it's just learning about like lizards and you're obsessed with lizards, but one day you're destined to create a YouTube channel where you talk about lizards and you gain a huge following and it's really successful. Or you're supposed to work in a field where you're dealing with lizards or write a book about it or whatever. But I feel like for you guys, there is a path forward that has to do with hobbies, interests, little things that bring you joy and delight and make you very happy. So follow this little thread, whatever it is, as I've been saying. 5th house is also, again, related to Leo, and Leo is all about that public acclaim. So there could be public acclaim for some of you guys. I really am getting that. For some of you guys, you're feeling called to share your gifts with the collective. And when you do, there's going to be a powerful transformation or some powerful resonance where so many people see what you're doing and think it's freaking amazing. So allow that energy to happen for you, pile 3. Even if you're like, whoa, I am not ready for that. I'm really private. You may be surprised, okay? I never thought I'd be posting on YouTube. Then we have Mars, Aries, the 1st house. And Aries is also very instinctual. All the fire signs are super instinctual, and y'all got so much fire in this reading. All the fire signs are instinctual with what they like and what they don't like. They listen to their intuition. It's a very intuitive energy, fire signs. They listen to their intuition with what they feel called to. If they're not interested, if they're unenthusiastic, and Aries is not going to do it. And if they do like something, they're going to go into it full force. So don't be afraid to follow this little thread of enthusiasm. Go for it, try it out, see where it leads, and go in with that full confidence of an Aries. An Aries never second guesses or kind of like twiddles their thumb and gets in their head. Aries energy is just about all systems go. Let's do this. I'm unafraid. So bring that energy for yourself as well. And then we have Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. It also rules the 7th house of relationships. And so Libra is, again, a very creative sign. It's also an air sign. So it's good with words. It's good with communicating. And it often has a very diplomatic, gentle, Venusian, charismatic way of speaking about things. So a Libra is that kind of personality that they could almost convince anyone of anything. They are the diplomat of the zodiac. So they are the ones that will be able to talk to even the most difficult person. Again, I feel like for some of you guys, this may be writing a book. or having a skill in communicating in general, even if it's not writing a book, maybe it's talking on YouTube or talking on what am I saying? TikTok. But for some of you guys, you really have a gift for gab. You really have a gift for communicating, and you have a special energy pile through. You have a je ne sais quoi. You have some kind of charisma about you. So don't be afraid to pursue that. Don't be afraid to lean into it and to go for it, because I honestly think, like I said, there's a lot of potential here. So pile 3, I really hope that resonates. I apologize because my nose is a little bit stuffy today and I'm really kind of feeling it during your reading. So sorry if my voice sounds weird or kind of gross, but anyway, I've been super sick lately for some reason. But I hope that resonates, guys. Let me know in the comments if it does. I always love reading your comments, what you have to say, your thoughts. So let me know what you think. Also, make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you can find out as soon as I post. And if you want to see more of my content, head to my Patreon. This reading was posted early over on Patreon and ad-free. All my readings are posted early first on Patreon and then posted over here. And as soon as you sign up over there, you'll get access to over 70 additional readings. There are readings about career, money, life purpose, love, relationships, destiny, past lives, future lives, soul ties, all different kinds of topics over there to choose from. So if that sounds good to you, head to my Patreon and check that out. The link is underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description, and I'd love to see you there. Also, if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.